Without professional polling on the debate until about Sunday, we can go ahead and just review what we have as a first impression of this debate performance. Donald Trump has been ran through the media as being eviscerated by the prosecutor Kamala Harris. A lot of people have disagreeing opinions, and guess what? I'm very mixed in there too. As a Trump supporter, I don't know what to think. To be quite honest, I think he left a lot of meat on the table. But there's so many little things we're going to break into right now. First, let's start off by looking at what the mainstream media has to say. Politico.com says Harris introduces herself by eviscerating Trump. It was Donald Trump's night in the worst possible way. Trump's improv stood no chance against Harris's coached attacks. So, as you can see, the spin is in. The people in the mainstream media who have been coddling Kamala ever since she was announced as the nominee without a single vote in the Democratic primary are carrying water for her. Now, that's not breaking news at all, but what I will tell you is that there's little tea leaves that you can gather through the conduct of everybody that's famous in the world that you can really piece together what the narrative may be. And so far, I've got this for you. Kamala Harris came in rehearsed. Kamala Harris came in as somebody who, frankly, was holed up in Camp David with a bunch of other Democrats with a literal Trump impersonator in the podium next to her for several days, rehearsing and cramming for this exam, an exam where she has to actually talk to the American people for more than a few minutes without some walls next to her. And Donald Trump went in there freestyling without actually taking notes, without actually rehearsing anything, and we saw what happened. Now, here's the thing. This narrative is actually true, and hence why some people are saying that Trump lost. But let's look into the math. Realistically speaking, there are many moments in this debate that you could see as inflection points. Now, generally, I'll tell you that this debate will not have a deciding factor or won't be the deciding issue in this election cycle. What I'm telling you is that if Trump loses or wins, this debate was not why. Now, in June, obviously, the Trump-Biden debate was clearly a deciding factor for Biden's campaign as he literally quit because of it. So when you look at it that way, this debate is not as significant whether or not you think either candidate won. But let's look into the highlights and peer into it. Like a coach would do with his high school students' film, let's break down the top 5-minute highlights and see what went wrong and what went right for Donald Trump. So as you can see here, Kamala goes ahead and tries to do a handshake. Does this really matter? No. People in the media might say, oh my God, she got one up on him. She screwed him up. That had nothing to do with it.
I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest...
Okay, so you see what the problem is with this debate. Now, again, Donald Trump won the debate in my opinion. Now, it was like a 60-40 split, whereas he, honest to God, should have won it like 90-10. Why is that? Kamala Harris is a vice president who is virtually guilty, like in a RICO accomplice sense. She rode shotgun to Biden's horrible policies, and now we're here in part because of her. That being said, when you're a 78-year-old former president and you're trying to run again as Donald Trump, and you have the truth on your side, and you're winning on the majority of issues, not due to like God's providential objective morality, no, but just the polls, even in a secular America, you're winning on immigration, the economy, inflation, foreign policy, crime. Okay, you're supposed to win tremendously against Kamala, who a lot of people would accuse of being a DEI hire even before it became cool to be one, but more so than that she climbed her way up the ladder politically in ways that are somewhat unsavory and disgusting to have in your mouth. These tastes are putrid, but Kamala is also known to be a third-rate prosecutor who failed the bar exam the first time. That being said, Trump should easily have beat her, but the reason why he did not clobber her like I was hoping is because he did exactly the opposite of what I told him to do in my video, my last upload. I told explicitly this, that you need to not buy the bait. She will try to get under your skin. Even the mainstream media predicted it because it was so obvious what she was going to do. And Trump bit the bait. And mind you, he controlled himself a lot of times. But on this specific instance, when it came to the rally size thing, he let his ego play a part into it. And it's super stupid for a couple different reasons. If you're pro-Trump, you've probably been to a rally or you know people that have been to rallies, and he's not known for having people leaving his rallies and the rallies being boring. So for him to be defensive about it is really stupid. Even beyond that, What the hell does that have to do with the median voter who doesn't go to either party rallies? These people that are suffering through inflation. Had he just spun the issue into that, he would have actually gotten a big layup, but he missed it because he dug into his own ego, which is a character flaw. And I'm honest enough to say that while his ego and his domineering attitude is a net benefit generally, as he has an aura and a businessman sort of demeanor that trumps virtually every other politician in the lexicon today, he has these pitfalls where if somebody insults him in a certain way, he stumbles over himself because instead of getting the layup shot, he's trying to juke somebody out in half court. And it's like so stupid.
Rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a
Okay. This is multiple. On one hand, we could argue whether or not that story is real. I've seen different things, to be quite honest. But the thing is that when you're talking from Donald Trump's perspective, and by the way, caveat, obviously, ABC News is a biased moderation team and biased venue to have the debate. But Donald Trump signed on to that. He knew damn well that was going to happen. So you can't talk to me. And again, I'm sympathetic, but I also have had enough of conservatives saying, oh, well, it was so biased against Trump. Well, you signed up for, honey. Like, what the hell do you want to happen? What do you want to happen? I mean, they had biased rules. I mean, the whole thing is already set up for the Democrats to win anyway. We already know this. Trump should have overcame those obstacles. He's trying to be president as in like the best human to run the country. Presumably, you would hope so. So if you can't debate Kamala Harris, a third-rate prosecutor who doesn't deserve to be there as vice president, a crappy incumbent administration, by the way, and two ABC News panelists or whatever that are the moderators, then what the are you doing? And so anyhow, let's see. When it comes to this Ohio thing of eating the pets, whether or not it's true, it just sounds ridiculous. And so it's about perception in politics, not what's right when you're talking about winning an election in a vacuum. That's what we're talking about for the next 2 months. By the way, just saying that sounds ridiculous, even beyond it, by the way. When you could mention Springfield, Ohio with the Haitian immigrants eating pets, why not talk about real tangible cases where there's police reports and everything, where women have been abducted, trafficked, taken advantage of, and murdered, like Lincoln Riley and other folks like that. Plenty of examples of teenage girls, innocent people all around middle America that were subject to violence due to migrant crime due to the Biden-Harris administration's failures at the border. Why the hell couldn't he just copy what I just said? Had he just said that, it would have been a way better response than talking about Haitian pets being or whatever. I mean, come on.
a shame.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
But the people on television saying the dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that.
No, of course. I think that's a bunch of malarkey, taking a Biden quote. But like, seriously, if he's going to fact check you, it's because he saw that as an avenue to like nitpick you on Donald Trump. So he made that mistake himself. Like, yes, obviously they were fact checking Trump, but not Harris. I know that. But Trump should have known that as well. So again, we're talking about, I'm not even victim blaming, but yes, I am. He should have thought better. Again, mention real cases of women, subject to migrant crime. Think about Kate Steinle when Trump won in 2016. Huge talking point. Great talking point politically. Now, this Haitian thing was stupid. And his defense was, well, I saw it on TV. I mean, you sound like my uncle that's saying, oh, I saw a UFO. It's like, dude, you sound stupid. It's not good.
52 years they've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that.
When Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law.
They have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby.
That bill.
Okay, look, that's another mistake. And again, I like Donald Trump. I just want him to do better. I got my hopes up and he let me down. He delivered a 6 out of 10 performance. He could have given an 8 or a 9. That's what I was hoping for. And it's so bad that I honestly thought I would have done better in his position. And I honestly would, because he just doesn't study and it's his own fault. And I'm trying not to like come off like a hater, but realistically, I love the guy so much that I just want him to do better. And I'm not his dad. So, I mean, it's a weird dynamic, but like, seriously, dude, can you not Google, or not Google, but you literally have people being paid 6 figures or if not millions of dollars, 50-year-old men that are fully well educated and everything. Hey, hey, can you tell me, bring the report of the abuse of these women in Georgia. Just do that. Just ask somebody. They'll just give you the notes, man. And then you can read it on the way to the debate. You could have studied for 15 minutes and you would have done a better job. This is kind of ridiculous, honestly. Okay. I mean, like saying, oh, the governor of West Virginia. First of all, it was Virginia under Ralph Northam like 7 years ago. The other thing is also that, this whole thing of like, dude, I don't know.
Would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem.
They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country. And they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you.
I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. What we know is that this war...
Okay, the highlight clips were way worse than I thought. They didn't edit this right. My bad for subjecting you to that out of context. But I will give Trump credit that the vast majority of his facial expressions were better than Kamala's. Kamala was more nervous than Trump for sure. And so that came out in spades. All right, so this is on the question of Trump at the Black Journalist event several weeks ago, where he talked about Kamala's race.
You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words. So
I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her.
So this is another personality flaw with Donald Trump. He is digging his own heels, where a smarter person in the litmus test is not even Reagan, but Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, running for president, somehow skirted having Hillary as his wife, with, like, God bless him. Imagine dealing with that. But beside that, he had to deal with allegations, like severe assault allegations, and you know what? And he somehow skirted all of it. And then he also admitted to cheating on his wife on the campaign trail. So there's clearly a precedent really to be able to skirt issues and things that you've said in the past or done. He did not have any finesse when he talked about this, though. When it comes to the race of Kamala, he could have just said, I read that she was black, and frankly, I don't care. It just points to a bigger question of her truthfulness, such as in the case of being the vice president of a guy with clear cognitive difficulties. How could she have been silent while knowing full well the guy was not all the way there for months, if not years? That's how you would have spun it if you were smart. Donald Trump digged into his own heels because of his ego, and he was having to defend himself when he didn't need to. It wasn't the smart thing to do. Here we have the healthcare part of the debate. Another mistake for Donald Trump. And again, I could criticize Kamala, but I already hate her. And so it's like, I'm just trying to build up my quarterback in this case.
What we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes.
Again, that is a non-answer. The problem with Donald Trump, and they bring this up in the debate, is that he's literally been asked this for about 9 to 10 years at this point. Ever since 2015 in the Republican primary, they've been asking, okay, we all want to get rid of Obamacare. It sucks. All right, agreed. But what comes after? Because people want a solution. He doesn't have one, and he doesn't have a plan. Is it because he's immoral, because he's like a libertarian, he's not going to buy any? No, it's just because he simply doesn't care enough to figure it out himself. It's that simple. And I mean, I don't know how not, like, am I coming off like I'm bitter? But it's like true. He just doesn't care. And granted, I also don't care. Like, I don't find it interesting to talk about like Medicare subsidy number D in Arkansas. It's like, that's boring. but it's your job to figure it out. There's people that do a lot of parts of their jobs that they normally like, but there's some paperwork involved too. And he doesn't even have a basic understanding of how it works. Obama, the BS artist that he is, at least would talk is some sort of the game. He's not, Trump doesn't do it. He just kind of like gets into vagary, which is why when he prides himself in like, oh, I didn't even study. I wasn't even trying, bro. I just freestyled it. It's like, bro, why? Why? It's like if you're coming in without practicing any raps in your head and you're going to freestyle against Eminem, it's like, dude, you got to actually try.
Yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now.
That just sounds stupid. I have concepts of a plan. What the fuck? Like, really? Like, are you like a 12-year-old? I mean, I got the homework started. My computer just glitched.
Now, but if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not too distant future.
He literally said that almost verbatim like 10 years ago, by the way.
I'm going to actually do something
plan's coming. Okay.
really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies because it's a really interesting.
Again with the rally thing, but like seriously, the healthcare thing was a mistake. Now, granted, it's not a big deal because in this election, healthcare is like item number 7 or something in terms of the list of priorities. So that's a good thing for Trump. Whereas in 2020, it was a lot more important, and even 16, 12, 08. But still, like it's just, again, I love Donald Trump, but the truth is that the guy has character flaws. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? It's such an important thing to so many Americans, what you're going to do with healthcare, or if you're going to do anything at all, like a plan. You don't even have to do it. You just have to like come up with like a 2-page like idea as to what it could be. For example, I'll make it up on the spot. As a 21-year-old criminal justice major in college, I'll just make it up. We believe that Obamacare has not been satisfactory for the American people. It has increased medical costs. But to be quite frank, replacement ideas have not yet justified us reinstating some sort of other plan. And so what we need to do is modify the existing plan by getting rid of X and Y. And we're going to do it with the Republican Congress and a Republican Senate in January when I'm inaugurated as president. See, that's a better bullshit statement than whatever Trump said. And I made that up. Donald Trump has been an adult for over 50 years more than I've even been alive. And what? All right, now that I dipped in pretty well into the debate footage itself, let's look into what Nate Silver, who is a Democrat shill, has to say as to why Kamala won. He has 16 bullet points, but let me tell you what, I'm trying to be as balanced as possible. This is about correcting the record, because if Trump gets good advice going forward and his viewers get good advice and his supporters do, then if he does agree to another debate, he's going to have a better mind when it comes to the next opportunity. So here we go. Point number 3 I thought was pretty poignant. Trump didn't seem to know what to do with the 2-minute long blocks of time, and microphones were muted. He'd have coherent and occasionally even fairly effective sections for about 30 seconds at a time, but then he'd veer off into another direction. You'll probably see some process stories complaining that Trump wasn't well prepared for the evening. So I agree. Again, before even reading it, I made up that thing exactly last night. Donald Trump was, when he was asked something or he was rebutting something, he'd have a good like 15 to 35 seconds of actual substantive debate about something that was witty, something that was funny. But after that, he found the need to use up all the time possible, even though when you look at the debate, he actually took up like 20% more of the speaking time than Kamala did because he insisted on talking as much as possible. The problem with that is that that's exactly what the Harris campaign wanted him to do, was to let him hang himself like he did to Biden 2 months ago. So Donald Trump, that's another problem with him. Had he prepared, he would have known that actually what he comes up in his head is not substantive enough to last a full 2-minute speaking block. And so inevitably what happened, instead of just him ceding the time graciously and just keeping the good parts, he would bury the lead by saying something smart for 20 seconds and then trailing off about like, and we're a failing country and we're going to demise as a country. We're headed towards World War III, nuclear. They don't like the word nuclear, and Moscow. And why did Biden get 3 million from Moscow? And it's like, again, it's not coherent. Not saying that he has like dementia like Biden. It hardly has anything to do with his aging, that he's 78. No, it's that he just doesn't have enough in his head to fill up the whole time. And you put this in any scenario, you're doing public speaking and you're killing time, it's not riveting content. So if you can avoid speaking as much, then just go ahead and do it. Now, whether that be because Trump didn't prepare, so he wasn't anticipating that, that's his fault. Or number 2, his ego wouldn't let him cede the time because the American people need to hear me because I'm the man. Okay, well, you didn't hold up your end of the bargain, because if you were witty and genius for like 2 minutes straight, then nobody would be complaining about the coherency therein of your statements. But anyway, This is a good talking point, actually. Trump went campaign rally mode, speaking in terminology that was coded towards the GOP base by name-dropping people like Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham in reference to people that were exonerating him on certain allegations of the Charlottesville hoax or something. And to be frank, Trump was obviously being slandered or whatever you want to call it over those things, but to be citing Fox News anchors is beside the point. It's like if a Democrat were to say, oh, I didn't say X and Y about the military. And I'm going to tell you that Jake Tapper, Dana Bash, and the ABC staff have my back. It's like, well, of course they do. They're on your side, bro. Like, oh, wow, the coach on your own team has your back on this. Okay, yeah, perfect. Doesn't convince anybody. And this final point really explains what I find wrong with Trump's approach to the debate last night. So point 16 has, in closing, Harris got the debate she wanted. If she isn't able to move the needle in the polls at least a little bit, maybe that means the country just isn't buying what she's selling. But you notice how that was worded. It's not like Trump beat her, therefore she's going to lose ground. It's if she screws herself over, or if she wasn't convincing enough to the Pennsylvania voters and the swing voters, then she'll lose. And I agree. But what should have happened is that Trump knocks her off her spot and she has to make up that ground in rallies and other debates. Not this idea of like, well, I mean, Trump survived, but like Harris is still okay. That's not good enough. Kamala is an idiot, like straight up. The fact she even got into law school is a miracle in my end. Like, I think that's actually a stretch. And so clearly, I mean, she'd have a hard time managing a grocery store, to be frank. And so to be completely cognizant of what's going on, I feel as if Trump really fumbled an opportunity here. But as harsh as I came off in this video, I'm going to his rally tomorrow morning in Tucson. And so we'll see if he does a good rally. To be quite honest, I was avoiding doing this last night as I got home like at midnight. But beyond that, I honestly feel as if this debate was a missed opportunity. There was an opportunity cost that was tremendous. He could have not necessarily had a Biden landslide debate performance like he did last time, but he could have certainly whipped her up pretty well. And he just didn't do it. He left too much meat on the table. He bit on the bait too much, and nobody who bites any bait in any context is winning. I mean, that just makes him a sucker fish. Okay, so let's be really clear here. Donald Trump, if he's going to debate again, has to do more preparation. It's just not enough to wing it. It just isn't. And it shows a lack of respect to the American people, frankly, if you just think like, oh, I'm just going to walk in there and kick her ass, because you didn't. He did not. He just did not. Again, Trump is still likely to win, in my opinion, but this does not really help him. And if it does help him, then God bless him. I really hope it does. But he just did not. He just didn't do what he could have. He left some yards in the field of play. He could have rushed the ball. He could have moved it, and he just didn't do it. So in summary, I rate the Trump performance in the debate 5 or a 6 out of 10 when I was expecting an 8. And maybe that's my fault for getting my hopes up. But that being said, like the video. Even if you don't agree, at least appreciate that I'm honest with you guys, because I know most of my viewers are Trump supporters, and I know that I might get dislike bombed, but I really love the president, and I want him to do well. So he should have just listened to me, bro. But nevertheless, I'm a 21-year-old college student. So anyway, see y'all on the next one. Adios.